Have you ever felt like your thoughts are not entirely your own? Like someone or something is pulling invisible strings in the background, shaping how you think, what you believe, and even how you feel? You're not alone. Most of us go through life unaware that powerful psychological forces are constantly influencing us. And the scariest part? We don't even notice. In this video, we're going to explore 3 powerful but often misunderstood psychological terms. These aren't just academic jargon, they're mental weapons. Once you understand them, you'll start seeing them everywhere. In relationships, in the media, at your job, and even in the way you talk to yourself. By the end of this video, you won't just understand these concepts, you'll realize how deeply they shape the very way you experience reality. Let's start with a term that can make you question your own sanity, and it's more common than you think. Imagine this. You're in a relationship. You clearly remember something your partner said. Maybe they insulted you during an argument. But when you bring it up, they say, "That never happened. You're being dramatic." Or worse, "You always twist my words. I think you need help." After a few more exchanges like this, you start to doubt yourself. Maybe you are remembering things wrong. Maybe you are too sensitive. That's not confusion, that's gaslighting. What is gaslighting? Gaslighting is a form of emotional manipulation in which someone tries to make you doubt your own memory, perception, or sanity. The term comes from a 1938 play called Gaslight, where a husband manipulates his wife into thinking she's going insane by subtly changing elements of their environment and denying it. Gaslighting doesn't always look like yelling or abuse. It can be subtle, small denials, fake concern, gentle corrections, but the impact is devastating. Over time, the victim stops trusting their own thoughts. Why is it so powerful? Because your mind relies on certainty. We build our identity based on our memories, emotions, and interpretations of reality. If someone repeatedly convinces you that your reality is flawed, they don't just control your perception, they control you. Gaslighting can happen in romantic relationships, but also in families, workplaces, and even governments. For example, a political leader might deny events that clearly happened or contradict themselves over and over, until the public begins to question what's true and what's not. This tactic creates confusion, dependence, and control. How to recognize it? Do you constantly second-guess your memory around someone? Do you feel like you're always apologizing but unsure why? Do you feel not good enough despite clear evidence to the contrary? If yes, you might be experiencing gaslighting. How to fight it? Document everything. Keep notes of conversations. Talk to others. Get a reality check from trusted friends. Trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. Once you name it, you can fight it. Let's move on to the second term, one that explains why so many people stay stuck, even when freedom is just a step away. Have you ever failed at something a few times, and then just gave up trying? Not because you physically couldn't do it, but because something deep inside whispered, "What's the point?" That's learned helplessness. What is learned helplessness? It's a psychological state where a person has learned, through repeated failure or trauma, that they are powerless, even in situations where they could change their circumstances. The term was first used in the 1960s by psychologist Martin Seligman. In his famous experiment, he put dogs in a situation where they received electric shocks and couldn't escape. Later, when escape was possible, those same dogs didn't even try. They had learned that nothing they did mattered. Humans do this too. Where does it show up? In people stuck in toxic relationships. In employees who stop speaking up after being ignored repeatedly. In students who give up on learning after a few bad grades. In people with depression who feel nothing can ever get better. Learned helplessness kills motivation, hope, and even identity. Why is it dangerous? Because it feels rational. The brain is trying to protect itself by avoiding more pain. But in doing so, it traps you in a prison that no longer exists. You may have the key, but you've forgotten how to use it. How to break it? Small wins. Start with tiny actions that give you control. Pattern recognition. Realize when you're automatically assuming defeat. Support system. Get people around you who remind you of your power. Learned helplessness is not permanent. It's a program, and it can be rewritten. Now let's explore one final concept, the one responsible for almost every bad decision you've ever made. Imagine this. You see yourself as a kind, generous person, but you just yelled at a coworker for something small. Now your brain is uncomfortable. Something doesn't fit. So what do? You justify it. They deserved it. They're always annoying. I was just tired. That's cognitive dissonance in action. What is cognitive dissonance? It's the mental discomfort we feel when we hold two conflicting beliefs, or when our behavior contradicts our self-image. To resolve that discomfort, the brain finds ways to rationalize the contradiction, sometimes by changing our beliefs, and sometimes by rewriting the story. Real-world examples: a smoker who knows cigarettes are harmful, but says, "It helps me with stress." Someone who believes in honesty but cheats on a test and says, "Everyone else does it." A person who stays in a bad relationship but says, "It's not that bad. Nobody's perfect." Cognitive dissonance helps us survive emotionally, but it also blocks growth. Why does it matter? Because most self-sabotage comes from trying to protect our ego, not from logical thinking. We'd rather lie to ourselves than admit we're wrong. That keeps us in toxic jobs, bad habits, broken belief systems, all because we're trying to avoid that uncomfortable mental tension. How to manage it? Self-awareness. Notice when your justifications don't match your values. Embrace discomfort. Growth lives on the other side of dissonance. Practice honesty, especially with yourself. Cognitive dissonance is universal, but once you become aware of it, it loses its power. So, let's rewind. You've just learned about 3 powerful psychological concepts: gaslighting, the theft of your reality; learned helplessness, the illusion of powerlessness; cognitive dissonance, the silent war inside your mind. These aren't just words in a textbook. They're the scripts behind many of our actions, emotions, and beliefs. But knowledge changes everything. When you recognize gaslighting, you protect your truth. When you uncover helplessness, you reclaim your strength. When you confront dissonance, you become more whole. So next time your mind feels foggy, conflicted, or stuck, ask yourself, which of these forces is at play right now? Because the moment you name the invisible enemy, it stops being invisible. Thanks for watching, and remember, the mind is powerful, but so are you. If you found value in this video, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden sides of the mind.